So this is our first optimality criterion. The minimization of the Kullback-Leibler between the full reduced model, the full model, sorry, the reduced model, so the approximated model, on the Grassmann manifold. I don't go into the detail, but this has a closed form because we are working on with linear Gaussian models. We can explicitly compute the Kullback-Leibler divergence. We can show that a solution to the optimization problem exists because the Grassmann manifold is compact and the closed functional is smooth. So we are sure that we can find a V that minimizes quantity. The issue with this optimality criterion is it is an a posteriori reduction in the sense that we need the data. We need y equal to small y, or w equal to vt small y. So we need small y, so release the data to make the reduction. So we wanted to remove the data because we wanted to be able to make the reduction without data. Ah, yeah, why? Because if you have a sensor, you will get the reduced data from the sensor and not the full data. I mean, you are reducing a priori. To do that, we just pick the expectation on the observation. So we minimize the expected Kullback-Leibler divergence. We still have a closed form. A solution exists, again. It's an a priori reduction in the sense that we don't need a realization of the data to compute the basis V, to reduce the data, to reduce observation. And I will go with the last optimality criterion, that is the maximization of the mutual information. So just before introducing the optimality criterion, I just go through two definitions. So first, the entropy. The entropy is the expectation of minus log of the density function, and this characterizes the amount of information that is contained by the distribution of Z. So H of Z is the amount of information contained by Z. And the mutual information, in fact, you can define the mutual information as a function of the entropies. And the important part is the mutual information between two random variables is the amount of information that a random variable contains about the other one. So if I have, if my first random variable is a parameter of interest and the second variable, random variable, is reduced information, I would like to maximize the amount of information that my reduced observation contains about the parameter of interest, because I want my observations to tell me the more information, the most information, sorry, about the parameter of interest. So this is the mutual information maximization problem, and this one is really neat because we have a very simple characterization of the maximum. Maximizing the mutual information between our reduced observation and the parameter of interest as an analytical solution. It's 1/2 of sum of this log of 1 plus lambda I. The lambda I are the dominant eigenvector of a generalized eigenvector problem. So CE is the covariance of the noise. CA is the covariance of the forward model. So we need the two covariances, and we can compute the optimal V by solving a generalized eigenvalue problem. With MATLAB is only CA equals comma CE, and you get the solution. And also, so we have the solution, we have characterized the solution, we are able to characterize the solution, but we also have an error estimate on the loss of the mutual information between, so this is the mutual information between all the observation and X, and the mutual information between the reduced observation and X. And we are able to characterize the loss of mutual information, in fact, going from the full model to the reduced model. And we have this kind of formula. In fact, it looks similar to the principal component analysis, the loss function of the principal component analysis, except that this term is different. And usually you have this square root of the sum of lambda square, and here we have, it's another function. And the cool thing here is we have removed the high dimension n. Normally we have n here. N is the number of observations we have, and we just removed it. We don't have the large dimension anymore, except in the eigenvalue problem that you have to solve. So let us check the validity of the. Let us check the theory numerically and how the Kullback-Leibler divergence minimization is working. First model, very simple model. It's a Bayesian inference model. I have some Chebyshev polynomials of the first kind, and it's an higher order polynomial regression. I want to infer the x, and E, I'm using some correlated noise, correlated Gaussian noise, and I'm having a correlated Gaussian prior for x. And I'm sampling, in fact, randomly between -1 and 1 some data, and I'm trying to make some polynomial fitting of the data using a Bayesian regression. So on the upper left, the red cross corresponds to the data. The blue curve with the circles is our map estimate. On the right, we have the convergence of the Kullback-Leibler divergence with respect to the dimension of the reduced space. So we have three methods here: PCA-R, A, PCA-Y, PCA-YN. These are some different PCAs with different values. You can check the papers if you want to check, but the main point is all the PCA techniques. All the PCA techniques are stagnating at some point. You cannot go to the very fine precision. You cannot compress the data and be very precise about the posterior distribution using a PCA technique. If you look at the KLD, so KLD is the Kullback-Leibler divergence, so minimizing the Kullback-Leibler divergence. The expected Kullback-Leibler divergence or maximizing the mutual information. You go to machine accuracy actually in 29 dimensions. So we went from 500, I didn't say we have 500 observations to identify 30 parameters. And if we have here 30 projections, we identify exactly the posterior distribution, the posterior distribution associated to the full model. So this was the convergence of the Kullback-Leibler with respect to the dimension of the reduced space. Here, this is the convergence of the expected Kullback-Leibler with respect to the dimension of the reduced space. And we have this, a similar kind of convergence. And this is the relative error on the mutual information, and exactly the same. The PCA cannot be as precise as the information theoretic approaches for these three quantities. The dashed line, if you see the dashed line here, the dashed line is the a priori error estimate using the formula with the eigenvalues. So 1 minus sum of the log of something. So it was just a sanity check to see if the formula was giving a nice, the correct results for the error estimate. And it is, in that case. So I'm late. It's okay. Okay. Let's apply it to nonlinear problems. So I'm generating some data using a log normal field. So f is a normal field. Exponential of f is log normal plus a correlated noise. Given a sample, in fact, given a sample on a 2D space, there is a 2 here, and I have 2,000 observations. And the model, in fact, is also log normal, but I computed, in fact, the principal component analysis of f on the samples, and I'm using the PCA of f to make the inference, to identify the parameters. And here We are introducing even some model error. We have some model error because I'm truncating the PCA, and I'm not able to generate what F to generate a similar field than F. We have an issue also because we don't have an explicit formula for the Kullback-Leibler divergence. It's nonlinear. We could get the explicit formula for the linear case, but not for the nonlinear one. So we are estimating the error looking at an approximation of the first two moments, so the mean and the covariance, using some kind of Laplace approximation. And so I'm looking at the convergence of the reduced map of the map associated to the reduced model to the map associated to the full model, and also looking at the convergence of the invariance of the covariance, so the precision matrix of the reduced model to the full model in a relative way using the Frobenius norm. And so this is for low variability of the log normal field, so of F. With a low variability, in fact, we have the three theoretic approaches that are outperforming the PCA approaches. But if we increase, so this is epsilon with respect to the dimension of the reduced space, so the epsilon is the error on the map. And this is epsilon h, so the error on the covariance. And it improves a lot, actually, using information theoretic techniques, improves a lot the value of the error for a small value of standard deviation. If we increase the value of the standard deviation, the difference is not so clear. But since we increase the value of the standard deviation, in fact, we increase the nonlinearity. So the linear approximation is not as good in that case. And I'll finish with a large-scale problem. So it's a Bayesian model that is dependent on a PDE. We have an elliptic PDE. And we are observing the solution of the elliptic PDE at different points, and we have 32,000 observation of this elliptic PDE, and we would like to infer 3 parameters of the diffusivity field. We will use the mutual, for this case, only the mutual information maximization using the centroids technique. So centroids techniques means we are using some regular samples on the domain, or we are using some cluster averages. So in fact, we computed the k-mean clustering of the observations, and we look at the arithmetic mean on the clusters. So this is our domain. We have the 3 parameters corresponding to omega 1, omega 2, omega 3. These are the centroids for 20 clusters, the centroids for 100 clusters, and these are the 32,000 observations of the field. And below we have the five first modes of the mutual information associated to the 32,000 observation points. And if we look, we have the mutual information that is going down with 10 projections. We can identify the parameters. If you go with only centroids, we will have very difficult issues with the convergence of the posterior distribution. And if we look at the clusters, it's slightly better, but still, it does not beat the mutual information problem. And so at the top, this one is the convergence of the map with respect to the dimension of the reduced space. This is the convergence of the covariance with respect to the dimension of the reduced space. And here also it's convergence of the map and convergence of the covariance, but for different noises, only for the mutual information and the cluster average. And we can see that the mutual information, in fact, is very robust to the noise level for the map and for the covariance of the map. And so in this second part, I've shown some information theoretic reduction approaches for the observation of linear Gaussian models with a posteriori and a priori reduction, meaning that we need the data or we don't need the data. It's better than the principal component analysis in the experiments, in the numerical experiments. And we have a very simple computation of the maximum mutual information subspace, in the sense that we only need the covariances and to compute an eigenvalue problems to get the right subspace. And for the perspectives, in fact, we would like to couple this approach with filtering techniques, in particular ENKF, because if you look at the linear Gaussian model, this is the observation equation of the ENKF. So we hope that we can reduce the amount of observation in a filtering problem. We would like to apply this method, of course, to geoscience problems, where we have a huge amount of data. Just think about satellites, taking lots of pictures. We would like to reduce the pictures of satellites a priori before making the simulation. And maybe exploit also the mutual information technique in the context of design of experiments. Just think about adding some sparsity to the matrix, and we will go to the design of experiment problem, the experimental design problem.